Welcome to the Outlaws podcast. Today I am joined by Nick. Nick, I have to ask you about your draft strategy because I just added it up and you spent $140 of your $260 budget on pitching. Is that something that you had planned to do?
No, not at all. That wasn't something I planned on doing at all. I went in with a strategy. There's two things I really wanted to do. The first thing was I wanted to get as balanced of an offense as I could. And then of course I wanted to get some power arms. I was going to go with the no closer deal again. That of course didn't work out. But I hadn't planned on spending high dollar on pitching. But once that whole Kershaw thing went down, it kind of changed my approach.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And I have to ask you, there's a lot of times where it seemed like you were trying to bid up a price on a few players and you ended up getting stuck with them. Do you have any regrets about that, or are you okay with the guys that you ended up buying?
No, I was trying to drive the bid up on Kershaw. I knew how bad Big Ben wanted him. I wasn't going to let him get him for under 40. And I guess he had some computer issues, and $35 later, I had the best pitcher in baseball. So it's hard to argue with that, and it's hard to be disappointed in that. And obviously I got caught up there with Sergio Romo. I thought for sure somebody would go $5 or more with the stupid price some of the closers were going for, and that ended up not being the case. It changed my strategy, but I think I ended up with four pretty good closers.
Yeah, you definitely have four solid closers, and then your rotation. I don't know if you read my team grades I did the other day, but I gave you an A+, the only A+ for any hitting or pitching. So you definitely, I think, have the best staff in the league. So Kershaw's already reaping those. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel great about the pitching staff. I think that in most weeks, those five categories I'll be able to capture. It's hard to argue with that. It's a real good staff.
What are your thoughts on Michael Walker for $10?
I love Michael Walker. And I think, and to be honest with you, obviously I've had people reach out to me with trade offers already, and Walker seems to be drawing a lot of interest.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is I'm not getting really much in return for what I'm looking for, and maybe because I'm a Cardinals fan, I overvalue him. But it's also hard to argue with what he's done this spring. He's been lights out. He gave up 2 runs the other day. It's the most runs he's given up in any outing, but he also struck out 7 or 8. So, I think that he's the next Wainwright, and I think he's going to have a huge year.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I haven't even bothered sending you a trade for him because I know it's going to take a lot to get him, and I don't blame you for holding close to him. I think he has like a sub-1 ERA so far in the spring, so if he can carry over what he did in the postseason, he could be huge value.
Yeah, I think so.
At shortstop, you took Gene Segura for $22, and for those that happen to listen to our AL and NL preview shows, I think we revealed that Segura was your favorite shortstop this season, so you have to be pretty happy with the price that he went for because a lot of the shortstops were going for more than that.
Yeah, I was happy with that for Segura. What I wanted out of my shortstop, because I wasn't going to get into the high dollar game with Hanley and Tula, was I wanted average and I wanted steals. I think I got both of those, and if Gomez and Braun can have great years, then I think Segura will score a lot of runs too. So I have a chance to grab at least 3 categories with him, which if you can get that from your shortstop, I think you're in real good shape.
Yeah, the way that you constructed your team, I have to say that since you bought so much into pitching, it's kind of hard for you to get those big power bats. So I kind of like the strategy you went after. Offensively, you have a lot of speed between Segura and Altuve at second base, and then I know you have Rios and Michael Bourne, some other guys that can lock down steals for you. So I think that was a smart way to go.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm too far off on power, Brian. I think I'm one hitter away.
Yeah.
And that might be a situation where I look at, those aces where you sit there and Kershaw, it'd be really hard to move him. But you look at someone like maybe a King Felix, and if there's an opportunity to get a power bat in return, you have to start to look at those kind of things. But, you're going to get home runs out of Fielder, you're going to get home runs out of LaCroix, and you're going to get home runs out of Rios, especially hitting in that Rangers lineup.
You've also got Dominic Brown.
Yeah, and hopefully he can repeat what he did last year. With Napoli, it's you're pretty much drafting home runs with him, so I don't have too much of a problem with him being a utility spot. But I would like one more power bat. I think that's probably the biggest thing I'm looking for. So if I can get that, I think that offense is very balanced.
So you mentioned that it wasn't necessarily your strategy to come in taking all these pitchers. What did you have in mind coming into the draft?
Coming into the draft, there were 2 players that I was going to go big on. but I wasn't going to go as big as they ended up going, and that was Goldschmidt and Cargo. Little Ben got crazy there going for Cargo, but he was also trying to stack his outfield, so I get what he was trying to do. If I could have gotten him for around 45, I think I probably would have. And then Goldschmidt, I probably would have gone 50. I don't remember how much he went for, but I think he went for more than 50.
Yeah, Goldschmidt, he went for $54.
Yeah, I was willing to go 50 for Goldschmidt. Those were the two players I really wanted. Didn't get either one. So when I didn't get those guys, then I think my approach really changed.
So tell me, how comfortable do you feel with Sandoval at third base?
I feel pretty good. It's a contract year. He's lost a lot of weight. I think he's going to do everything he can to stay on the field. And he's proven that when he does stay on the field, he's a great contributor in at least three categories. When you talk about home runs, RBIs, and average. And that's the roll of the dice. And like you said, the price you pay sometimes for pitching is, you got to go a little bit cheaper at other positions. And I went cheaper at third base, but I think I ended up with some of that. I think that's going to contribute real well. I could see his numbers being, right around that. You talk about guys maybe went for a little bit more, like a Josh Donaldson type, where he's going to get that power and RBI production.
Yeah, I think Sandoval compares, pretty equally to Josh Donaldson or Ryan Zimmerman, somebody like that went for more cash. Obviously, the question is, how is he going to stay healthy? But, I think that you could find, when he does inevitably miss some time, you can find somebody on the waiver wire that's not going to be too much of a drop-off. But I think Sandoval went for a pretty good price.
Look, the guy wants to get paid. You know what I mean? And usually whenever that happens, they tend to find a way to stay on the field.
Yeah. And let me ask you, I know you like Andrew Kashner a lot. He went for $3. Seems like a pretty good price. Are you looking for a big year on Kashner? Or it seems like he was somebody you're probably targeting coming into the draft.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty big on Kashner. Obviously he's not somebody who's going to carry my staff, but he is the ace of the Padres. He pitches in a huge ballpark, which I think helps, and I think he's going to be a good strikeout contributor. I like Kashner a lot, especially for that price. I probably wouldn't have gone more than $5 for him, but if you can get an ace of any staff for $3, then I think you got to feel pretty good about it.
Now, we talked about some of these guys that you threw out there that you bid on that you weren't necessarily interested in and accidentally got stuck with. Was Colby Rasmus one of those guys?
No. Rasmus is a dollar deal at the end of the draft. You can see I cut him pretty immediately.
Yeah.
I was just, it was like, I had like 5 seconds left, and I was like, screw it. So I just kind of threw a bid out there for $1 just to kind of see what happens. And, ultimately, I looked at the way my team was made up and realized I needed a little bit more power. So I dropped Rasmus and went another direction.
Now, you've already made 5 pickups, most in the league. I know you probably heard some criticism when me and Drew did our podcast about the quick leash on the pickups. So what are you trying to do there? Do you just not like a couple of the guys that you drafted, or you just want to make sure that you got Tavares on your not active list? Or tell me about some of these moves you made.
Yeah, I want to get Tavares on the not active list, so you had that little deal there. Mm-hmm. Michael Bourne has dealt with a little bit of a hamstring issue, which I think he'll be fine for opening day. But just in case, I wanted to make sure I had another outfielder in my lineup that had some speed. So I went out and picked up what's his face there, Garcia.
You picked up Avisel Garcia and Will Venable, who I was surprised that he didn't get drafted.
He's had a great spring, and the White Sox are very high on him. It looks like he's going to hit number 2 in the lineup. So I think he'll do well. I don't know if he'll be on my team for the whole year. And then, of course, I had to get rid of Rasmus, and I turned around and picked up Will Venable, who, from a power standpoint, you look at outfielders last year, he was top 25 in home runs. I think he hit 22 or so. Mm-hmm. So he's somebody that may not be on my roster come opening day, depending on how things work out, but if I started with him in the utility spot, I don't feel bad about it.
Yeah, I think Venable was a sneaky good pickup right there. I mean, he's a guy that could, if he puts everything together, could have a 25-25 season. He's definitely got some upside, kind of a poor man's Carlos Gomez, I'd say.
I agree a little bit there, yeah. He just plays in such a big park that I think sometimes his numbers are a little bit down versus what they would be if he was in a hitter's park. Yeah.
Another one of your top prospects at pitching behind Walker that everybody loves is Sonny Gray. You got him for only $5. I thought that was a good price, and the fact that he's going to be pitching in such a big ballpark in a pretty good division against teams like the Mariners, the Mariners, the Angels, which I guess they've got a decent lineup, but just all those games being at home, and also the Astros, of course. That I like his outlook for the season.
pitcher in a division with the Houston Astros, you have to do it, especially at $5. Because I mean, you saw, you Darvish had some games last year with 6 strikeout totals. They're always against Houston.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a team that swings and misses a lot. And of course, the ballpark is also a consideration. And plus, if you look at injuries now to Jared Parker and AJ Griffin, Sonny Gray's going to get to rack up a lot of innings. So I like that pick for $5 definitely.
Now, you spent over $40, I think maybe 44 on Prince Fielder. I have to be honest, he's not somebody that I'm really that high on, but the move to Texas, you got to think that can only help. So why do you like Fielder this year?
I don't. I mean, I guess I like him because he's on my team. But we were really running out of power first baseman. I think you had picked up Chris Davis. Paul Goldschmidt was gone. Some of these guys were starting to go away. And I knew missing the boat on Goldschmidt, missing the boat on Cargo, I needed to get a big power guy in the lineup. And I like Fielder with the park he's hitting in. I think that he has a chance to get back to those numbers he had in Milwaukee. I like the pickup. I don't regret paying $44 with what some of the players went for in our draft. So he's really my true power guy. So I'm going to need him to really perform.
Yeah, the best thing about Fielder, too, is that you don't have to worry about any, replacing that spot at first base. This guy plays 162 games every year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's durable. So, and that's a nice thing. And, of course, he may have an opportunity every now and then to DH, depending on, what they want to do. I believe they still have Mitch Moreland down there. So, if they need to give him some rest, they can DH him, and, that'll help him out as well.
Okay, I wanted to ask you, all these picks you made, you've got some great values in here, but what's your favorite pick of the draft?
My favorite pick of the draft?
Mm-hmm.
Well, shoot, other than Kershaw for 35?
Well, yeah, that's a great value. Kershaw, I think, was projected to go for like $48, and you got him for $36. So, yeah, that was definitely a lot cheaper than anybody had thought he would go for.
Yeah, I like that pickup a lot. Other than that, I don't think I'm disappointed on the amount I spent on anybody, even Fielder. I think that he's gonna be a big contributor even at $44. Of course he has to be. We already talked about that. Man, if I had to pick one, it's really hard to say. I love Walker for $10, especially if he can pitch like an ace. And I don't think I got a terrible price on James Shields either. And Shields is as durable as they come.
Yeah, those are two good picks too. Shields very durable. I think he's a lock for about 215 innings. So, what was your least favorite pick?
My least favorite pick?
Yeah.
Sergio Romo, because it changed everything that I was going to do.
So
like I said, it ended up working out.
So you said that it changed everything you were going to do. Were you just going to avoid closers altogether, or were you just going to try to go $1 closers, or what was your plan there?
I was going to stay away from closers, no doubt about it. I was going to see how it worked to start the year. Especially with the dollar amount some of those closers were going for. I just didn't want to pay that much.
Mm-hmm.
But once I landed Romo, I said, well, I'm all in now. So I ended up pulling in 4 closers I thought were pretty good. The other pick I didn't like, where I was trying to drive the bid up, was Dominic Brown. He was definitely somebody that was not on my radar at all. I was not high on him. But I have him now. And so my hope is that, Utley and Howard and some of those guys can stay healthy and give him some protection so he can stay hit home run.
That's funny that you mentioned him, because you really played that one off. You sounded like, to me on draft night, that you were pretty excited that you got Dominic Brown. And to be honest, he was awesome until I think he had a concussion about a month and a half left in the season, and he didn't really recover from that well. But he had a lot of, he was among the home run leaders before that happened.
Well, yeah, exactly. I wasn't going to show my hand on draft night. And I tried not to show my hand too much when we were doing those podcasts. Other than Segura. But yeah, no, Dominic Brown was definitely not somebody I was after. If I could have had the ideal outfield, I would have ended up with Alex Rios, Cargo, and Matt Holliday. That was the outfield I wanted. And of course, I only ended up with one of the 3. So, I'm going to make some adjustments.
Yeah, Matt Holliday went for a lot more than I was hoping. I was going to try to sneak him in for low 20s, and he went for $28. Were you one of those people that were bidding up Brandon for him?
No, I knew Brandon was going to go hard after him. I knew Brandon was going to pay a lot for him. I was hoping he'd go late enough to the draft where Brandon would kind of back off a little bit, but he seemed pretty determined, going up $28. I probably would have went 25 for him easily, because I think he's going to be 300 with 100 RBIs and 25 to 30 home runs. And that's great production. He's as consistent as they come. But I just wasn't going to go up near 30 for him.
So Brandon drafted like almost all the Cardinals. It seems like he's got Molina, Craig, Holiday, Wainwright. He's got even a couple others, if I remember right, like Colton Wong. When you're playing Brandon this year, what comes first, your fantasy team or the Cardinals?
Yeah, it's hard to say. It depends on how big the Cardinals' lead is in the division.
Yeah,
If they've got a comfortable lead, then yeah, maybe I'll hope that a couple of those guys have some rough outings. Or my hope is, if he has those guys and offensively they're fantastic, if I can get steals in the pitching categories, I can slide out 6-4 and feel pretty good about it.
yeah, I'm with you there. It depends on how their division is. Maybe earlier on in the season, I'll root for my fantasy team, but if we need some wins late in the season, I'll have to suck it up and hope that the Cardinals just have some those players have some big games.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you mentioned that you're looking to get a power bat. Are there any positions in particular that you're looking to trade for?
No, what I would say, I'm looking to add that piece to my outfield. Possibly third base, but I'm looking to add that piece to my outfield. I've had some conversations, hoping to have something done in the next couple days. We'll see how it goes. But mostly I would say I'm looking for a power outfield bat. Primarily because I feel pretty good about Sandoval at third.
Yeah, your outfield is Alex Rios, Dominic Brown, and right now you've got Garcia in there. Of course, you got Venable and Bourne and Tavares on the NA list. So yeah, I think that'd probably be a good idea. And with King, you definitely have a lot of assets on the pitching end. Where I think if you let go of King Felix, as weird as it sounds to say, that you probably would barely even notice him being gone, considering how deep your staff is.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking. If I were to move one of the two aces, King Felix would be the one I'm most willing to move. Not to downplay him, but it's Clayton Kershaw. That would take a very big return. So and I don't think there's a lot of guys that are willing to do what it would take to get him. So I would say King Felix out of the two. If I'm looking to move and get power in return, then that's the one I'd move.
Now, the last 2 years, you've had these giant leads. You've been the number one seed, it seems like, for at least half of the season before kind of fading late in the year. What do you think you have to do to change that up from this year?
Just not give my team away. Okay, it's easy with what we do in this league to get caught up in the trading game. And I honestly believe if I would have kept the team that I drafted last year going into the season, I think I probably would have had a very good chance of winning it. Having Trout, McCutchen, Harper, and some of the pitchers that I had. But I turned around and made some moves and kind of got caught up in it, had fun with it, and it resulted in another fifth place finish because at the end of the year with Harper dealing with the injuries, I just didn't have the offense I needed to keep going.
So what's your goal for this season? Or would you be happy with making the playoffs or finishing top 3, or is it championship or nothing? Or
my goal is to win the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
But, that's my goal every year, and I feel pretty good about the team I have. Like I said, I think I'm one piece away from being right there. But I fully expect to make the playoffs. I fully expect to grab a virtual trophy. But my goal is to win the championship.
Yeah, a virtual trophy. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So you did spend a lot on your closers. Addison Reed at Ford, Jansen. You may have gotten the best closer in the game there for $12. Even looks even better after Chapman went down. So he's definitely a top 2 closer, I think. You got Sergio Romo, and who's the fourth I'm missing? Grant Balfour.
Grant Balfour of Tampa.
Yeah, so you got guys that are very solid in their roles. You don't have to worry about competition or losing their jobs, at least not anytime in the near future. So you got a lot of stability in the rotation. And you probably, you made those 5 pickups early on, but you're not going to really need to be looking to fill in spots on your pitching side of things. So that'll save you some pickups there. That's kind of what I did last year. I was so weak at catcher and other positions like shortstop that I had this revolving door, it seemed like all season, especially at catcher, where I just picked up 4 or 5 guys at that position. I could not find anybody that was getting the job done. So you have that same stability in your pitching rotation.
Yeah, I think so. Once I ended up with Roma, I was like, well, I might as well go all in. So I ended up with what I thought was 4 very good closers. So I feel good about that. I feel good about the price I was willing to pay for them. The other side of that, you're right. I'm not going to be streaming pitchers throughout the season unless one of these guys just falls apart. And the one person I'm probably most nervous about is Matt Moore, but his stuff is so good that if he can just throw strikes, he'll be okay. So yeah, I think I'm in a good position. Like I said, if I can get the one piece of the puzzle I'm missing, I may not have to make a whole lot of pickups this year if everybody stays healthy.
So in my team grades, I think I gave you an A+ for your pitching, and I gave you a C- for your hitting. Do you have any?
You were brutal to me on my offense, but it's all what you're looking for, I guess.
So you don't agree with the ranking. So what player would you say on your offense do you think is not getting enough credit?
You didn't give me enough credit for?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? It's hard to say 'cause I don't remember what players you talked about specifically.
What do you think, just in general, like one of your best offensive players is that that you think is kind of going under the radar?
Under the radar?
Yeah.
Oh, that's Altuve. You know, because he consistently contributes in average and steals. You know, and if they can get something going in the middle of that order, whether that's George Springer coming up and contributing, or Chris Carter really puts it all together, or Castro has a solid year, then I think Altuve's runs are going to take off as well. And then you look at three categories. So I love that I have him because he's about as consistent as they come. Of course, I think Alex Rios is, he's somebody that I've had on my team. That that. I'm high on him. I love him in that Texas lineup for a full year. Those are probably the two that I'm most excited about when it comes to offense. If I would have graded it out, I probably would have given me a B minus, knowing that I'm missing a power bat or so.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. I just want to ask you one more question before we go. Is there another team that I don't know if you've really had a chance to look at the other rosters yet or not, but is there another team that you've looked at this year and you said, wow, that's maybe the best team in the league right now, besides yourself?
No, it's weird. I've looked at every roster, because obviously I'm wanting to do something here, wanting to make a move. And I look at everybody's roster and I see holes in every single roster. I think this is going to be as interesting of a year as we have had. I'll tell you what, if all the players can stay healthy, because they're kind of old, I think Drew's got a chance to have a pretty darn good team.
Yeah.
And I also think Big Ben has a chance to have a pretty good team from an offensive standpoint. But everybody's got hope, and that's the thing about it. So I'm not sure really which team I would look at and say this team is dead set to win the championship. I don't like the teams that really stacked up their offense a little bit and had them. I don't like either of their pitching staffs. I don't like Brad's pitching staff at all. So I mean, you just kind of look at it and go, well, damn, there's there are a lot of weeks where we could be looking at a lot of 6-4, 5-5 type stuff, depending on what happens.
I think so too. Last year was by far the most competitive from 1 to 10 that I've seen in the league. Like everybody was pretty much in the playoff hunt except for Brad at the end of the year. I think we could see the same thing for sure again this year. I don't really see a team that stands out.
Nope, me neither.
Well, is there anything else you wanted to add before we go?
No, I don't think so, man. I'm just really looking forward to season starting. It was nice to get a couple games going over the over this weekend, over Saturday and Sunday anyway, or Friday and Saturday, I guess. And Adrian Gonzalez showed up, played well. Clayton Kershaw, of course, was dominant. Goldschmidt looked fantastic. So I think it's going to be a fun season.
Yeah, I think so too. And give me your quick prediction. Who are you playing week 1, and how bad are you going to beat that team?
I'm playing Drew in week 1. I think right now, I predict I will win that thing either 6-4 or 7-3.
All right, I like it. And
Okay.
Everybody in the league is rooting for that as well. So good luck to you.
Yeah, I think I'll sweep the pitching, and I think I'm going to grab steals and batting average.
All right, well, we're rooting for you.
I appreciate it. It was good talking to you.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
All right,
bye.